All right, we're back here again. Journey of an Entrepreneur, episode 2. Today we're going to be going over beta testing, our experiences, and little insights we picked up along the way. And we got Carlin again with us, co-host,
Woohoo! What's going
co-founder.
on?
All right, so we'll jump right into it. Carlin, what is beta testing and how has it impact our business?
So I think the easiest way to describe beta testing is you have a new product, right? You and your team have been working super hard on it, and unfortunately, though, sometimes you get too close to it and you can't necessarily see, what the user is wanting compared to, what you're providing. So a good way to gauge on how well you're really engaging your users is to perform a beta test. So essentially, it's you're giving your product to a selected amount of testers, and you're asking them for their feedback on your product's different features and aspects, and seeing what they like, what they don't like, what needs to be changed, what should be added, stuff from that nature. And there's a whole array of things that you can do to successfully implement a beta testing. But the gist is just to give it to the users, to a selected user group, and have them decide and determine what you might need to add and what might need to be adjusted with your product. So
Yeah. So when we first start, I think our beta testing was at the end of 2023. Um, so we learned a lot from that experience, just getting people to use our app and getting feedback and seeing what we can improve on and things like that. One of the things you have to do is to find people that are kind of you think is going to be your ideal avatar or audience. We kind of picked the wrong people, essentially, but you know, that's okay. We got a bunch of friends and some family members. A lot of them were college students, so a lot of them may not was not able to afford our product and stuff. So when you're picking out people, kind of think of where you want your ideal person to be financially and different things you got to take into a lot of different aspects. So
yeah, yeah, and to add to that, sometimes when you have a product, right, and you're first starting out, you may think that you know who your target market is, and turns out whenever you do launch, your target market is completely different than what you expected. And I think what we ran into is, yeah, like Ty said, we picked a lot of college students because that's where we thought our target market was at the time. But in reality, when we did sort of, launch our product, we found out that, well, the people that were signing up and downloading our application, it was a whole different demographic. It was older people, than your regular college students. So yeah, well, I would say one of the things that we could have done better is to get a wider base for our beta testers, just to get different perspectives from different markets. But yeah, I think that was just one thing that kind of, you know, we were not expecting. So
yeah. And you don't have to have your product completely finished. Like when we started, we kind of pushed I kind of pushed the deadline on people. I wanted to start the beta testing. So we were scrambling to get things together and we weren't fully ready, but we just did it and it was a great learning experience and things like that. So even if you're not fully prepared, just get feedback. And one huge thing is beta testing is free, right? So don't try to charge people for it. Every business owner knows that when you're first starting out, you may want to give out something for free. And what you get in return isn't money, but it could be knowledge or adjusting your product or even a testimonial or things like that. So you got to take that into account when you're starting. So now, Carlin, were there any challenges that we faced with beta testing?
Woo! Oh yeah. I mean, well, with beta testing, obviously one challenge is to make sure that the users who are doing the testing are continuously engaged with your product, right? Obviously, there's a lot of things that go on in people's lives, and either this is something that is, they're not getting paid to do or anything like that, right? So getting feedback from people is sometimes difficult when, if it's however long your beta testing is, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Sometimes people they lose focus, or they do have something that comes up for work, and they just don't feel like writing down feedback and testing the product out. So yeah, I think trying to get the feedback from people and for them to fill out the forms that we were asking for, it isn't easy. So that was just one thing that I remembered from our beta testing. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and plus we had a majority of full-time college students, right? So
Yeah.
they're, doing classes and different things and hanging out with friends. And, if they do work out, they may just want to do a quick workout, don't want to try to, really follow the workouts we had. Since then, we changed our business model to from tailored fitness, nutrition to more generalized, on-demand
On demand.
fitness. So, just know that people have time constraints, and any feedback does help. So
Yes.
yeah, it does help a lot. And so, one huge piece of feedback that we got um, from our testers were that mental health was a big area of interest. So, we got feedback from them saying, "Oh, mental health would be something they would, they're all interested in." And so from there, we started building our mental health aspect of our business. And Carlin, got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely our beta testing, it wasn't perfect, but I will say it really did change our business from the testing that we did. And yes, we've now added, like I said, that, the mental health features to our app. And yeah, it's definitely, totally transformed how we looked at our product. So before, yeah, we were really just, fitness and nutrition mainly with, a little bit of mental health. But now I feel like we're really balanced in that we're focused on fitness, nutrition, and mental health as our core features within our app, and what we want to provide for our consumers. So we wouldn't necessarily have gone that route if we didn't have that beta testing. So I think even though we didn't, like I said, we didn't do it perfect, but it was still a success for us because I think it did lead us down the right direction. So
Yeah. And so there's three basically markets or desires people want that you should start a business in. So it is in either wealth, relationships, or health. And in each of those desires, in markets, there's different sub markets that you can do. So in wealth, it can be finance or real estate. In health, it can be fitness, nutrition, or mental health. And inside of those, there are different niches, and so we found a unique niche that we don't see anybody else doing right now. It's more of a blue ocean area that we're trying to accomplish with fitness, nutrition, and mental health. And so, beta testing, trying to figure out how to explore this new blue ocean that we're all new to, but we all have a passion and we have experience in it. So,
Yeah.
um, you know,
And I love how you talked about the ocean strategy, and for those that do not know what that is, so you have basically two types of oceans in the business world. You have the blue ocean and the red ocean, and we call it the red ocean because that's where a lot of well, we'll call sharks and competitors are all in the same area, and when they're competing for the same uh, type of product and features to give to the consumers, it can get very bloody. People, I mean, the price margins are a lot lower. It's harder to market. And so you want to be over to the blue ocean where there's not a lot of competitors and not a lot of people doing what you're doing. And it's a lot easier to market and set the price that you want. And so that's been our focus. I think again, we were at the start a fitness and nutrition company, and I think, just those two things, we were trending towards the red ocean. But because we were adding the mental health piece now, you don't see a lot of people doing that. And so now we've kind of shifted more towards that blue ocean area, which is where we want to be. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So just, figure out what's your market, what's your sub-market, what's your niche. And then once you find that out, find out how to get beta testers to either try your product or service, get feedback, adjust, and through that feedback, you'll be able to expand things, take things away, adjust your business model, things like that. And so after the beta testing phase, there's a post or after the beta testing phase is over, what's next? After that. So, Carlin, would you expound on what's next and
Yeah. So right. I mean, it's like, after you get the feedback from your users, what's the proper way to decipher what's good feedback, what's feedback that maybe you're like, oh, I don't know if that's really, what we want to do. And I mean, really, it's just, coming together with your team and really going through and understanding where they're coming from. A lot of times, a good strategy um, for to figure out whether feedback is good feedback is you can even go back to that user that provided it. Just ask them a clarifying questions on can you go further into this and whatnot. If they don't give anything, that's okay, but it's good if they can go even more into detail on it, and it never hurts to ask. But yeah, I mean, really, it's just pouring through and seeing what really works for your business. And also, if you see a lot of the same feedback, then it's typically good feedback, right? If you see the same types of comments, whether it's maybe the price needs to be lower for the product, or maybe this feature needs to be added, then that's a good indication that maybe we should start working towards you know making sure that that feedback is heard from the
yeah,
users. Because if the few people that you tested with, if they're saying sort of the same things, then there's a lot more people out there that probably feel the same way. So
yeah.
that's something to think about
Yeah, and
after
so
beta testing.
you hit on something very profound, and I have to stop it right there and go back
That,
and talk about it. So feedback is very important, but you also have to know your ideal avatar and audience, because if you're getting feedback from someone that's not your ideal avatar, it's like you going to a gym and asking your trainer for financial advice. I mean, he probably could give you some good, feedback or some tips,
It's a really
but
confident guy.
confident guy, but you want to hear from someone that
Mhm.
actually is the person that you're trying to get good information from. So, you know, it's really hard to find your ideal avatar. That's something being in the blue ocean is kind of like, okay, how do we find our ideal avatar? It's something that we're constantly, trying to figure out. That's one of our biggest challenges is finding the specific person, the exact details, the day they was born, the what they like to go when they like to go to bed, all of that. We need to know everything about them so that we can target and position ourselves and market so that when we get those customers, they're diehard, loyal Dash Wellness fan,
Yep.
and they
Yep.
go anywhere.
No, 100%. And just a saying that I've always remembered is that if you market to everyone, you're special to no one. So you've got to know who are going to be your core audience, and you've got to make sure that they're always taken care of. I just think about all the biggest companies they started with a certain niche, a certain type of person, and then they've expanded out. I mean, I used to work at Amazon, and they would always tell the story of how Amazon started, right? It was an online bookstore. That was their goal to sell, books online, right? They didn't start off just selling everything because if they obviously didn't have the billions and billions of dollars that they do now to be able to sell everything, right? They had to choose. If you sell, 25% of your products are books, 25% are chairs and whatever, it doesn't really flow well for a particular type of person, right? So yeah, making sure that when you're starting out to make sure you're focusing on one specific product item or a niche, and then you can expand out after you've started to really hone in on your core audience that they're catching on, and that's to the point where you can say, all right, well, let's look to expand outwards and to market to more types of people. So
Yeah. And one of the biggest things I've learned from beta testing is so after the beta testing was over, we got a few people to stay. We had one really loyal customer client, and he stayed on for about, you know, 3, 4 months, and then he stopped. He stopped using our service, and I asked him why. And he said, well, they people give you excuses, to why they want to stop. But that motivated me because that was a tough pill to swallow. Because he was like, through the beta testing phase, he gave great feedback, and to be one of the first people to use our app. So when that person left, it kind of hurt, but it also woke us up and said, okay, we got to do better. We have to better our services, our product, and things like that, and develop. So we can't just sit on what we're doing. Okay, we're good. We got a few people to use our app. No, we have to keep developing, keep building the relationship, things like that.
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Ty. And your beta testers also can be a great source of loyalty if you take care of them. And one of the things that we're probably going to do for our beta testing is to make sure that we're providing them special benefits for being the ones that are starting off with our product. And so I before we didn't necessarily do that, but we really want to take care of our beta testers. So not only will they, be beta testers for this time period, but once we launch something else within our app in the future, maybe we can bring back those beta testers, those same beta testers, and if they've stayed on, they're more loyal, they're more likely to provide better feedback because they've been, they have a sense of loyalty to us. And so beta testers can be a great source for you in the long run, with your app or whatever product that you're selling. So just one thing that I think we learned from our first beta testing versus what we're gonna plan to do this time around. So,
Yeah.
and if you are a beta tester and watching this, yes, we will be providing you some additional benefits for sticking with us. So yes, stay tuned on that.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, I know we didn't go over different tools that you can use. I mean, you can use Google Forms to get feedback, um, track beta testing information in Excel spreadsheets and different things like that. So there's different tools and resources you can use to get your beta testing going. There's a lot of stuff online that you can do and research and find the best ways that works best for your business, things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. One of the things that we've discussed is using online platforms to find beta testers. So there's different websites that look for companies to post their products, and they have a source of users that will go in and test the product out and let them know what they think about it. So I think that's one of the routes that we're looking to take in our next beta testing cycle. And that way we can get more, not just, friends and family, people that are close to you, or, one specific type of, individual like the college kids, but to get a wider base to try our products. So just
Yeah.
another resource
Yeah,
to
and
use.
and to go into that, I read the book, The YouTube Formula, and they gave me a deeper understanding of doing beta testing like that. So essentially, if you do like use an online platform like Reddit or a different thing, make sure when you're posting into a community or whatever it's called, make sure it's in your big market, right? So if it's health, wellness, or health, finance, or relationships, make sure it fits into there. And so you can post your product, service, and then people that are in those communities might find it interesting, and that might help you find your target audience or avatar. So
And the last thing I will add to that is be okay with harsh feedback, or we'll call it constructive feedback, but sometimes it can feel very harsh. Uh, yes, it may not be what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear a lot of times. So there's the saying, right? The customer is always right, even when it doesn't feel like it. They're always right. Because again, if they're saying it, there's another customer out there, probably multiple customers out there thinking the same thing. So if you do get feedback that is negative, or you feel it's not justified, just take some time, a deep breath, maybe a day or two to let it sink in, and then reevaluate it. See, does this feedback make sense or not? Sometimes maybe you need to ask somebody else outside of your team as well to see if the feedback is legitimate or not. So just be okay with handling negative or constructive feedback.
and actually seek negative feedback. So
Yeah.
because if you're always just wanting good feedback, you got to see what's wrong so you can improve. If you don't improve, you stay stagnated and you lose customers, just like how we lost our customer. So doing that,
Yep.
seeking feedback. The bad feedback is what will excel you and make a better company.
Yeah, it's like if you're a sports fan and you have a coach and all the coach does is tell you how well you're doing everything, you're not ever going to get better. You only get better if somebody tells you what you're doing wrong. So,
Yeah. All right. So this concludes episode 2. Carlin, got any departing words?
I think we hit all the key topics. We're excited. We're about to get back to the beta testing mode ourselves, and I'm sure we've learned a lot from what we did last time, and we're looking forward to it. Ready to get that negative feedback.
Yeah, so just follow us on this journey, like, subscribe. We are comment too, comment your journey, and we're gonna ride this ride together. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
All right, peace.